All right, so let's carry on with these qualities. So now we come to the one with the great rivers. So the great rivers going into the ocean, they're losing their name and clan and become simply the ocean. In the same way, when they go forth from lay life to homelessness, the four castes, the aristocrats, the Brahmins, the merchants, and the workers lose their former names and clans, and are simply considered Sakyan ascetics. This is the fourth thing that the mendicants love about this teaching and training. And so when you become a monastic, there is no more hierarchy. There is no more status. There is no more, all of these things that we measure each other by in society. We try to let go of that when we become into monastic life. The reality, of course, is that it is impossible to do that 100%. There's always some degree of measurement and these kind of things, but at least that's the ideal. Yeah, you lose these kind of things. And sometimes the question arises: well, was he against the caste system in ancient India? And the truth is that the Buddha didn't really try to change society. The Buddhist religion is not about changing the world. And the reason is because the world cannot really be changed in a fundamental way. The world can be changed on the surface. And so for a while the world can go better. There can be better governments or worse governments, or we can be leaning in the right direction. But in the longer run, the world is just more of the same. It just goes round and round and round, and there is no real solution. And so the Buddha was not into doing so much in society. The Buddha wanted to give people a way out of society. That's what freedom is about, a way out of the world. And so within the Sangha, that's why you took away. That's why within the Sangha, that's where it is important to take away these differentiations between people and everyone. You have a level playing field where everyone is respected equally regardless of your background. And that means that you're giving everyone an optimal chance, to seek awakening. And that includes women, of course. That is one of the reasons why you also want to have women as bhikkhunis, on the same kind of level as the bhikkhus, because that creates a level playing field. That level playing field optimizes the chances of reaching awakening. The Buddha laid down the idea of bhikkhunis for a reason, because it gives the maximum opportunity to practice the path in the right way. So very important that we get the idea, we give women, men, everyone a chance to do this to the maximum ability. And one of the things I really like about our monastery in Perth is that it is a very kind of multinational monastery. We have people from everywhere around the world. We have 4 monks originally from Malaysia. 4 monks originally from Malaysia in our monastery in Perth. It's almost too many from Malaysia. No, and then we have people. We have a couple of Indian monks. We have a couple of Sri Lankan monks. We have monks from North America, from a variety of European countries. Then you have people like me who are kind of a mixed bag, not really sure where I come from anymore. I kind of no idea. I live too many places to really be able to pin yourself down, which is okay as well. And this is very nice when you have these communities where everyone is working together, and that is what our monastery in Perth is like. You lose that sense of differences. You become like humanity coming together. And our Buddhist society in Perth also reflects that. Our Buddhist society is very, very diverse. We have the Thai people with Thai background, the people with Sri Lankan background. We have lots of Indians who are basically Hindus, but they like Buddhism. They come to our Buddhist society. We have the Western people who traditionally, go to Vipassana centers or whatever. We have the people of kind of Chinese culture, and everyone coming together. Burmese, Japanese, sometimes Korean, sometimes everyone, Vietnamese, coming together. And it's such a beautiful thing when we can work together like that. And this is really the idea here when the Buddha lays this down. You lose this kind of background. You lose the marks that distinguish us from as separate or as somehow different. And in the Dhamma, we are all the same, all practicing for the same goal. And that's such a It's such a beautiful thing when we can work in harmony like that, because we make too much out of the differences in the world, and we make things out of the differences. That is when disharmony starts. That's when nationalism begins. Yeah, nationalism is basically we are proud of our own nationality, so we will fight for our values, and that's how you get wars, and that's how you get all of these problems. So at least in the Sangha, we lose this distinction between the various castes and the various backgrounds of people. Then we have the next one. We have the one about the streams, the amount of rain or rivers that come into the ocean. It doesn't fill it up. In the same way, even though many mendicants, monastics, become fully extinguished, in other words, they reach Nibbana through the element of extinguishment with nothing left over, the element of extinguishment never empties or fills up. This is the fifth thing that mendicants love about this teaching and training. So the element of extinguishment is the Nibbana Dhatu. This is one kind of the word here. And it doesn't matter how many monks or nuns or lay people or anyone becomes extinguished, there is no change in the Nibbana Dhatu. Why is that? Why doesn't it fill up? If I enter Nibbana, I become one more in Nibbana, right? Is that how it works? But the point is that Dhatu here, or the thing is extinguishment, right? Something is going out. And if something is extinguished, how can there become more? It's like if something ends, does that become more of that thing which ends? It doesn't make any sense. Extinguish means ending of something, the ending of dukkha. So when there is ending of dukkha, does that mean that the sukha becomes more or something? What does that mean exactly? And of course it doesn't mean any of those things. And so one of the problems here is actually the translation of the word like element, dhatu. Because in English, an element sounds like something that they can become more of. An element is something that you can increase in quantity. But one of the meanings of element is actually the idea of property. So you can say the property of extinguishment. And if you call it a property, then straight away it's a little bit different. Yes, the property of extinguishment, it doesn't sound so much like a thing anymore. It sounds like a quality. And that quality of something being extinguished. For example, in the suttas you also have the quality of cessation. But to talk about the element of cessation doesn't really, because cessation is not a thing, it's a quality, it's something that happens to things. It's not a thing in itself. And so once you understand it like that, it makes sense why nothing should really fill up, nothing should be diminished, because it is a property, it is a quality, something that actually relates to the things of the world, not a thing in its own right. And so that's how you think about the Nibbana Dhatu. There is no, because it is just ending, then you are on the right track. Now we come to the reason why I chose this particular sutta. The ocean has just one taste, the taste of salt. In the same way, this teaching and training has only one taste, the taste of freedom. This is the sixth thing the mendicants love about this teaching and training. And I think this is the thing that this sutta is especially famous for, is this particular phrase. Is very often quoted in the Buddhist world. The Dhamma and the Vinaya have only one taste, the taste of freedom. And it's a very, it's something, when you hear that straight away, you remember that. There's something very memorable, something very beautiful about this idea. There's only one taste in this Dhamma. What does it mean? And it means, as I said before, that with every step on the Buddhist path, with everything that you do that is part of this gradual training, part of the Noble Eightfold Path, comes a degree of freedom. You feel more free as a person. And that freedom, of course, is an inner kind of freedom. It's a freedom that has to do with the mind. It doesn't have to do with how you live your life, or actually it does have to do with how you live life, but it doesn't have to do with the external things in your life so much. You can be in prison and you can still be free, because you have that inner sense of freedom. So it is something mental. And every time you do the right thing, every time you are kind to somebody, every time you have a degree of compassion, every time you turn your mind in the right direction, if you look at that feeling, if you look at what is going on, you will notice there is an aspect of freedom in that. It's like you are liberating from an oppression, which is the opposite of the quality that you are developing. So when you are kind, you are liberated from the oppressive feeling of being unkind or being hard or being, not having gentleness in your life. That hardness inside is actually oppressive. Gentleness and softness inside is a liberating feeling. When you are generous to somebody, you are released, you are free from the feeling of being stingy, from holding back, from attachment, from all of those things. It's a liberating feeling inside. When you develop metta or samadhi or samatha or peace in your meditation, you are again liberated from all of these opposite qualities. Every step you take on the path, every time you get it right, notice what it feels like. And when you notice what it feels like, you can see why this is liberating, why this is freeing. Stage by stage by stage, you are freeing yourself from something low, something oppressive, something problematic. The most important thing you are freeing yourself from is, of course, the oppression of dukkha. Dukkha is one of the most oppressive things on the Buddhist path. So there's only one taste. Everything in the Dhamma and this training, tastes of liberation, tastes of freedom. So notice that, and notice that positive side of things. Of course, there will be times maybe when you feel a little bit trapped by some of the aspects of the path. Maybe sometimes you will feel that you have to be kind. Oh, I don't want to be kind. I don't want to keep this precept. Oh, I've got to keep it. Oh, I don't want to do it now. I really have to lie now because otherwise I'm going to be in problem or whatever. And then it can feel a bit like a prison in the short term. But in the long run, all of these things are liberating. So you have to look at it a little bit in the long run, not kind of narrow it down to individual moments. Because in certain individual moments, because you have to go against your defilements, it will feel a little bit unfree or oppressive at that time. But in the long run, it will have a liberating effect. So that is one side of this idea that it has only one taste. Another side to this idea is the fact that if you look at all of the positive qualities of the Buddhist path, the metta, the karuna, the happiness, the peace, all of these things, they also come with a degree of freedom to them. Happiness, you're free from suffering. Peace means you are free from oppression of agitation and these kind of things. So all of these qualities also have freedom kind of built into them. So this is the idea of freedom here. It goes, everything on the Buddhist path is kind of suffused with this element. And so again, it's a great way of noticing whether you're heading in the right direction or not. So this will then be, in large part, what we're going to talk about as we go along, how it is that every element of the path actually relates to freedom in one way or another. And as we do so, we're going to unravel so many of the aspects of the path and see how they work. Okay, that is the sixth one. So let's go on to the next one. The ocean is full of many kinds of treasures, such as the pearls, etc., etc. In the same way, this teaching and training is full of many kinds of treasures, such as the 4 kinds of mindfulness meditation, satipatthana, the 4 right efforts, the 4 bases of psychic power, the 5 faculties, the 5 powers, the 7 awakening factors, the Noble Eightfold Path. This is the 7th thing the mendicants love about this teaching and training. The treasures of Buddhism. This is the treasure of the Dhamma, the Dhamma Ratanang. Yeah, the Buddha Ratanang, Dhamma Ratanang, Sangha Ratanang, the second of the three jewels in Buddhism. And that Dhamma Ratanang has within it all of these sub-treasures, yeah, which is really what the Dhamma is all about, the teaching of the Buddha. And if you look at those things that are listed there, these are the 37 Bodhipakkhya Dhammas, the 37 aids to awakening, that the Buddha says really is a summary of his entire teachings. Yeah, these are jewels. And the reason why they are jewels, the reason why they are gems, is because they lead to all of these positive things. These are the liberating things. These are the things that open up your mind, that make you feel, gives you everything you ever wanted in the world. People always look for happiness and for liberation and freedom in the wrong place. The real treasures are the things that give you real freedom, real happiness. This is that real freedom. The ordinary treasures of the world are so shallow. There's nothing really to them. If you have a gem or some nice jewelry or whatever, how much happiness does that give? How much freedom does it give? Sometimes it traps you, yeah, like the wedding ring. The wedding ring may be made of gold, but it still traps you in. No, I shouldn't say that. I'm just being a monk. But there is some truth to that, right? And you can all recognize that to some extent. Otherwise, you wouldn't even be laughing in the first place. So you know what's going on there. So we're looking for freedom in the wrong place usually in life. The things that give you real freedom, real happiness, these are the real treasures in the world. This is what these things are about. This is why we have the triple refuge and the triple gem, because this is where these are the real gems in the world. And so all of these things that lead to all of these positive outcomes and positive qualities is what this is really about. Okay, the last one. Many great beings live in the ocean. In the same way, great beings live in this training and teaching. These are those beings, the stream enterer and the one practicing to realize the fruit of stream entry, the once returner and the one practicing to realize the fruit of once returner. Whoops, something happened here. The non-returner, oh no, that's correct, yeah, non-returner and the one to practicing the realize of fruit of non-return, and the perfected one and the one practicing for perfection. These are this is the eighth thing the mendicants love about this teaching and training here. So the great beings in the world, yeah, it's kind of very interesting that these are the great beings, yeah. The stream entry, the one practicing for the fruit of stream entry, the perfected one, the one practicing for perfection, because they don't seem like great beings. They seem so ordinary. This is kind of the magic about people like this who are really special, is that actually really special people who are really special in a profound way are also very ordinary. It's kind of one of those remarkable, kind of contradictory things. Yeah. I don't know, for me, I have always been a very staunch Ajahn Brahm disciple, and to me he's kind of one of the, I met many interesting monks, but to me, because I know Ajahn Brahm so well, I know what he's like, and in many ways he's so ordinary. In many ways he just sits there, he doesn't say anything, he's kind of, what's going on now? Whoa, okay. So this to me is one of those kind of really paradoxical thing about the world, that the people who may seem great, the people who may seem like they are special, are often the people who kind of stand out from the crowd, maybe the people with big egos, the people with a lot of power and these kind of things. And they are the ones we often see in the world, precisely because they have big egos. And sometimes maybe they will seem very impressive in certain ways, but the really great people are the ones that often fade away, the ones that disappear, the ones that don't have any egos, because that is what is truly astonishing. Someone who doesn't have any ego, someone who doesn't want to say, I am here, I exist, I am unique, I am powerful. That is what is unique. Why? Because it goes against the grain, it goes against what everyone wants. And we all know how problematic the ego can be. The sense of self creates conflict in the world. The sense of self is often the root at war. I recently wrote a paper about this. It's what a beautiful sutta, the Sakkapanya Sutta, the questions of Sakka, where Sakka comes to the Buddha and he asks this question of the Buddha: why is it that when everyone wants peace in the world, everyone wants freedom from conflict and problems, why is there still war and conflict when nobody wants this? It's a really good question. Why do we have this when everyone wants to live in peace? And then the Buddha gives this beautiful answer, and it takes it back, stage by stage, all the way back to this idea called papancha. Papancha is the idea of the proliferation of the mind. And the papancha is rooted in the sense of self. It is the ego, it is the self that is at the root of all the problems in the world. And so the most interesting people in the world are those who have given up these things. That is where all these problems end. Yeah. So when you see someone who has no ego, who has no sense of self, who has ended that conflict with the world, that is what is really extraordinary. That is what is really special. So when I see someone like Ajahn Brahm who kind of fades away, someone like Ajahn Brahm who is, has a very, very famous monk in the world, he doesn't take himself at all seriously. Yeah, I'm not gonna say that. But he just laughs at himself, or has a good time, or he doesn't say anything, or he's very kind of, I'm sure when Ajahn Brahm comes here, you know exactly what I mean, yeah? The Ajahn Brahm you see here is exactly the way he is in the monastery, except that in the monastery he doesn't say anything, yeah? When he comes here, he talks, yeah, but in the monastery he doesn't even talk, yeah? And it's just like that, he kind of his robe hanging behind, yeah, and kind of that kind of stuff. That's kind of what Ajahn Brahm is like, yeah. And not only Ajahn Brahm is like that, but this is kind of common if you observe those people in the world who are, special in a spiritual sense. That is what they are like. These are the great beings in the world. These are the special ones. So great beings, we need to know how to look for them, how to see them, who they actually are. Then we can kind of be on the right track. So look at that, yeah. Watch those beings, and of course, what you will see certain qualities are also very attractive. You will see something that is very kind of draws you in, and also reminds you what true happiness is. Someone who can live very simply and still find a deeper happiness than the vast majority of people can ever find in the world. So these are the great beings of the world. In the suttas, there is a beautiful word for these great beings. They are called naga. The word naga means like a supernatural being. Yeah, like I translate the word naga as dragon, because basically it means like dragons, because they are a bit like snakes, but they're also fire breathing. Yeah, so fire breathing is typical what a dragon does. And so they are like dragons in the world, are nagas. But all the great beings in the world are nagas. So you have the elephants, the great elephants are often called nagas. And then the arahants are called nagas. Yeah, the Buddha is like a naga as well. The great, mighty, majestic beings of the world is what these things are about. So what a wonderful thing it is that we still have beings like that in the world, who can show the way forward, who know what the Dhamma is about, and who can guide us in the right direction. It's such a beautiful thing that is still available in the world. So, seeing these 8 incredible and amazing things, Pahārāda, the mendicants love the teaching and training. So, okay, so now we are supposed to have another quick break, but because lunch is coming up soon, maybe there's no need to have a break now. So maybe we can just go straight to the questions and comments. So if there's anything you would like to comment on or talk about, now is the opportunity here.
Ajahn, when you mentioned that Dhamma Vinaya in this context is teaching and training, so the training in that sense is it applicable to monks and nuns only, or is it applicable to laity as well?
It's applicable to everyone. Yeah, because the training is the same, the gradual path is the same, the factors of the Noble Eightfold Path are the same. So I would say it's applicable to everyone. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's why if you translate it as Vinaya, it becomes as the Vinaya Pitaka, then it kind of becomes applicable only to monastics, right? But if you call it training, actually has a broader application. That's a very good point, and then it becomes suddenly applicable to everyone in a sense. So
okay,
yeah.
Thank you, Ajahn.
Yeah. What about this lady in front here who had question number 2? Now was the chance.
Yes, thank you, Ajahn. Ajahn, earlier on, you were teaching about how wise people will follow wise people, corrupt people will hang around with corrupt people. If I'm with the right crowd, because I feel like perhaps we could be blinded by ignorance. We could see someone who can speak very well. It's logical. It's very smart. Can seem wise, and then we thought, oh, you know what? That's an intelligent person. Let me follow him. Yeah. But then, how do I know? That I'm on the right path.
Yeah, that's a very good point. And so there is a difference between intelligent and wise. These are two different things. You should follow the wise people rather than the intelligent people. And sometimes you may get someone who's very simple. Yeah, someone who cannot say very much, but they kind of radiate a certain purity and a certain quality of the heart, which is very beautiful. So look deeper, look behind the words, look behind the kind of superficial qualities. And then you will see whether someone is truly worthy of being a friend or being a teacher or whatever. That's what you should really look for. It can be very blinding. It's very easy to go wrong when it comes to teachers. So keep on observing. All you have is your own abilities to observe. You have to go with that, because you cannot trust. If you go with what other people say, well, you have to decide who to listen to. So it's the same problem. Doesn't really change. So, but look behind the surface and keep on looking. And then as you keep on looking, then gradually you will either uncover some problems or you uncover something positive. One of the things that I personally like, I think it's very nice to be able to come back to BGF every year in a regular way, because after a while you build up a certain relationship of trust with people, and that's actually very valuable. Because new teachers, it takes time to actually build up that relationship, and that trust is a very valuable thing that we have in the world. Trust is very rare and very difficult in society. I was just, when I came into the airport in Perth, one of the people who drove me are people who originally from Vietnam, and they migrated to Perth because of all the problems in Vietnam. And there was a man and a lady in the back seat, and I asked them, how is your daughter doing? Because they had a daughter who was running a pharmacy, and this pharmacy, they had an accountant who was really dodgy and made off with millions of dollars. They had actually made a lot of money, but all the money was siphoned off. And then this lady, which is she's this really hard-nosed business lady, she told me, my daughter, she has too much trust. That's what she was saying. Too much trust in society. So you shouldn't trust anyone. Basically, she was saying, don't trust anybody. Just be really. And that's it's not nice when you can't trust anyone. So once you build up trust, because you know people, it's actually a very, very valuable and beautiful thing, because it is rare in the world to have that trust. And so for that reason, it's good. One of the things I really like about the way Ajahn Brahm deals with the various Buddhist societies in the world, Ajahn Brahm is a very loyal person. I have often asked Ajahn Brahm, well, where should I go and teach Ajahn Brahm? And he always says, we should always go back to the same groups. We shouldn't always go to new places and new groups. It's very easy to say yes to new invitations all the time, but instead of doing that, no, go. They have supported us. We have supported them. We have an established relationship, so go there. And there's something very beautiful about that, and there's something I really appreciate with Ajahn Brahm's outlook, because you build up something positive there. Anyway, so there you are. That's the answer anyway to what you're asking here.
Ajahn, the final simile, many great beings live in the ocean. It actually emphasizes on the being a stream enterer, once returner, non-returner, the perfected one. So my question to you is, how important is this to lay people like us, like for me, I feel like, wow, this is like still super far away. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the reason why it matters is because these are the beings who know the Dhamma. Yeah. So it matters, for example, you have the Buddha as your teacher. That matters. Imagine there was no Buddha in the world, right? So if there was no Buddha in the world, there wouldn't be any insight. There wouldn't be any Buddhism. There wouldn't be any Dhamma. So you are the beneficiary, even if you're not the stream mentor yourself. Yeah, that is here. The point is that these exist there for your benefit, and so you get teachers who have these qualities, starting with the Buddha. That is the most important thing here. So it's just a rejoicing. Yeah, wow, the Buddha is my teacher. What a wonderful thing that is. That's kind of the right way of using this idea. It's not so much whether you are a stream mentor or not, but the fact that you have the Buddha. The Buddha exists. His teachings still exist in the world. Yeah, it's like almost like the Buddha is around because we still have the teachings. And then you have the disciples still practicing in the right way, still gaining the same benefits. Wow, the Sangha is still alive. Wow, I'm so lucky. Wow, how fortunate the Sangha is around in the world. What a wonderful thing is, because of that the Dhamma is well expounded. I get the real teachings. Yay! That's the right way of thinking about this, yeah? That these beings are existence in the world in this particular way. Please, you don't look entirely satisfied, so please carry on with the second part of your question there.
Because that one we already have like a reflection of the Buddha, Buddha Nusati, Dhamma Nusati, Sangha Nusati. Yeah. So like for this one, it's more of like talking about the four stages, the four great beings.
Yeah, this is just the same idea of Buddha Nusati, Sangha Nusati, the same idea from a different angle. Most of the suttas show the same ideas from many different angles. They're not different. It's not a different teaching. Yeah, he's saying here there are these beings in the world, and then and it says that you love the Dhamma and the training because these beings exist in the world. That's what it's saying. Yeah, in this teaching there are these beings. It doesn't say you have to be that being. It says these exist in this teaching. Yeah, so it is a way. It is a kind of Sangha Nusati. It is a kind of Buddha Nusati. It's a different angle on that same thing. Yeah. It doesn't have, just because it is phrased different doesn't mean it's a different teaching. Yeah. Very often the suttas are, they are different angles on the same thing from different ways of looking at it. Yeah.
Good morning.
Good
Ajahn.
morning, indeed.
Yeah. I'm still trying to understand the meaning of the Nirvana Dhatu. Is it similar to the Dhatu they relate to the sense space, or is different from that?
Well, the thing is about the word Dhatu is the word is used in Pali, is used very, very broadly. So, for example, you have the Nirodha Dhatu, which would be the element of cessation. Or you have the Nekama Dhatu. Nekama is kind of relinquishment, or giving something up. So you have the element of giving up, yeah. And so you can see that. So the word dhatu, sometimes you have like the four great elements, also called dhatus. Yeah, you have the earth element, the dhatu. So it is a very broad kind of idea. So sometimes it means more like element, but when it comes to the cessation or renunciation, like the renunciation element, that's kind of weird, right? It's a strange word. Or to have the vyapada dhatu, which means the dhatu of ill will. Yeah, so all of the word dhatu is used so broadly in the suttas. And so sometimes it means more like element in the traditional way that we use the word element in English. But other times it means more like property. It's like a mental quality that we have, a property of the mind. And here it means the property of something being extinguished. Extinguishment is a property, in the world. Or cessation is a property, is a quality of something. It is not a thing that you can grasp onto like an element, but it's something that happens to these elements. Am I making any sense? Little bit? Okay. Yeah? Okay, good.
You were talking about the teacher. The Buddha as the teacher, as the Buddhist and as the monastic. I've been asking many monastics, because they practiced, they follow Goenka. You know Goenka? Yeah, they all, about maybe 8 out of 10 monastic that I talked to.
Yeah.
They're always talking about if you want to teach them the meditation, they all follow Goenka.
Yeah.
So I asked them, well, who is your teacher? Is the Buddha or Goenka?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's kind of, I feel kind of, it bothers me. They're wearing the robe. They're wearing the robe.
Yeah.
And but they follow Goenka. Some of them, they go to a Goenka retreat center, one after another, and they ordain. They're wearing the robe. It's like, they use the robe to get privilege or whatever. Yeah, I feel, I don't know, I don't feel, it doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
It's like they're using the robe, they become monastic, but they follow Goenka. So I keep asking them, is your teacher Buddha or Goenka?
Yeah.
And they just,
It's So it's an interesting, very interesting point, and I think that we have to be very careful because it is true to some extent that sometimes it's easier to have your teacher, someone who is living, is easier because they are there.
He's not living now.
He's not living, but he was he was living here. And it was one of those questions I asked Ajahn Brahm because we had recently had Ajahn Brahm's 50th anniversary as a monk in Perth, and so we had all of these.
The point is.
Yeah, well, hold on, Venerable. Hold on. Let me just finish the point I'm trying to make. And so I asked Ajahn Brahm the question, who, because we had a conversation in connection with that anniversary. I asked him, who would you take as your teacher? Who do you feel closer to, the Buddha or Luang Por Chah? Because Luang Por Chah was a very famous teacher, obviously, at that time. And he said that actually Luang Por Chah, because he's a living being, so you can actually feel him in a much more real way than the Buddha. And I thought that was very fascinating because I thought, Ajahn Brahm might have said, I didn't know what he was going to say. This was interesting about this question. It was very hard to actually know. And so I can see on the one hand that there is a certain thing about someone who is living that makes it real in the way that the Buddha never comes. On the other hand, I also agree with what you are saying because actually the teaching of the living teacher has to harmonize what the Buddha said. If it doesn't harmonize, it's a real problem.
Yeah, that's my point.
And so when it comes to Goenka, it's the same thing. The extent to which the Goenka harmonizes with the teaching of the Buddha, to that extent his teachings are acceptable. But if they don't harmonize, and there are some people who claim that, I don't know much about Goenka, but some people say that maybe everything doesn't harmonize, well, in that case, we should be a bit more skeptical. So you take the good things, and then you stick with the Dhamma and the teaching of the Buddha apart from that. But in the end, in the final analysis, the teaching of the Buddha, that is where we have the faith and the confidence.
Yes, when I was in Savatthi, I took a course. Supposed to be 8 days, but I only took like 7 days because Sattaha, took. And I just wanted to see what he actually teaching. But the way he was teaching, well, first he started like, I don't know if any Goenka followers here.
Be careful, that's right.
I might be in trouble.
Yeah.
But he started in the English session anyway, but in Hindi he probably said something different. I don't know. But he started like, his teaching is not sectarian. It's not Buddhist. It's not anything. It's universal. But, and then he quoted many sutta and he chanted many verses of the Buddha.
Yeah.
And the meditation method is not what the Buddha was teaching.
Yeah.
And it's his own, from his own experience.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. I didn't feel right. But I stayed for the whole 7 days, and after 7 days, I left, and they were very upset because I didn't finish the course.
I see. Yeah. I think I think the answer. No one is ever perfect. You can find problems with everyone. After I have been teaching this course, there's many things that I have said that might be really dodgy. I don't know. I hope not too many. But you always end up saying something that may not be quite right, or sometimes things get also lost. Between the person who speaks and the person who listens. Things get lost in translation, as they say, and so I think in the case of Goenka, I know many people who have started out with the Goenka, and then later on they moved on to the suttas, for example. So sometimes there are benefits with it, and there are drawbacks, like with everything else in the Dhamma and the suttas, and so finding that right balance is really what it is about. But it's getting late, Venerable, so I think we're going to have to stop there. We can discuss Goenka more later on if we want to, but we need to have a quick break, and then there is lunch. Yay!